Have you ever stopped to think that the type of wealth you desire says everything about what you truly value in life? Money can buy comfort, status, or even change the world. But if you don't define your why, it can turn into poison disguised as success. In this video, we're breaking down the 3 core reasons people chase wealth, from those who just want to live worry-free to those who crave the power to transform realities, and more importantly, how to achieve each one without losing your peace, your values, or the people you love. Are you chasing wealth out of hunger or emptiness? Is there a way to have money without letting it have you? What if I told you you can be ambitious and lighthearted at the same time? If you're ready to have this conversation, no guilt, no BS get-rich-quick scams, hit play. Because true wealth isn't about numbers, it's about freedom, and yours starts right here. Getting rich to never worry. Again, the quest for authentic financial freedom, the desire to accumulate wealth in order to live without worries, is perhaps the most universal of all motivations. This isn't about flaunting luxury brands or competing for social status. It's about something deeper, more fundamentally human, the longing for security, for peace of mind, for freedom from the gnawing fear of tomorrow. But what does it truly mean to live without worry? And how can you reach that state without becoming a prisoner of your own ambition along the way? The illusion of enough. Many believe that once they hit a certain number in their bank account, they'll finally breathe easy. When I have $1 million, I'll be safe, they tell themselves. But the line between enough and not enough is constantly shifting, and often dictated more by psychology than financial reality. There are people making 10K-a-month ho-live-in panic, and others getting by on 10K-a-month ho-live-in panic, and others getting by on 2K who sleep soundly. The difference isn't the amount, but the control they have over it. The path, purpose-driven work and conscious management. If your goal is to live worry-free, your wealth can't depend on a single paycheck or income stream. True security comes from the ability to generate value consistently, whether through work you love, smart investments, or systems that keep working even when you're not. Work with purpose. When what you do has meaning, money stops being the end goal and becomes a natural byproduct. People fulfilled in their careers don't work out of obligation, but as an expression of who they are. That's the game changer. Effort doesn't drain them, it fuels them. Build multiple income streams. A river fed by just one source dries up in a drought. Worry-free wealth requires redundancy, active income, passive income, investments and skills that can be monetized in multiple ways. Master your spending. Financial stress often comes not from lack of money, but from lack of control over it. If you spend more than you earn, no matter how much you earn, you'll always be stressed. True freedom begins when your expenses are less than your income and you know exactly where every dollar goes. Work with purpose. When what you do has meaning, money stops being the end goal and becomes a natural byproduct. People fulfilled in their careers don't work out of obligation, but as an expression of who they are. That's the game changer. Effort doesn't drain them, it fuels them. Build multiple income streams. A river fed by just one source dries up in a drought. Worry-free wealth requires redundancy, active income, passive income, investments and skills that can be monetized in multiple ways. Master your spending. Financial stress often comes not from lack of money, but from lack of control over it. If you spend more than you earn, no matter how much you earn, you'll always be stressed. True freedom begins when your expenses are less than your income and you know exactly where every dollar goes. The trap of self-sufficiency. Some believe the solution is to hoard as much as possible and cut all ties of dependency. But this is a limited worldview. No man is an island, and isolating yourself in the name of security is ironically its own form of insecurity. Real worry-free wealth doesn't deny human interdependence. It embraces it. When you build strong relationships, professional, familial, or communal, you're not just accumulating resources. You're creating a support network that transcends money. What if you lose everything? Here's the heart of the matter. No matter how carefully you plan, the unexpected will happen. Illness, economic crashes, accidents, variables beyond your control exist. And this is where wealth stops being about numbers and starts being about trust. Trust in your ability to rebuild, in your support network, and for many, in something greater than yourself. Those with faith, whether in God, the universe, or their own resilience, don't see failure as an end, but as a necessary reset. True security, then, isn't in the money itself, but in the certainty that as long as you're breathing, you can start again. Conclusion: wealth as a tool, not an endgame. Getting rich to avoid worry isn't about amassing so much that you never think about money again. That's impossible because money, no matter how abundant, always requires management. It's about reaching a state where money isn't a source of anxiety, but a tool that lets you live with freedom and generosity. When you understand wealth as a means rather than an end, you stop chasing a magic number and start building a life where financial stress is replaced by something far more powerful: peace of mind. So ask yourself, what needs to change in your relationship with money for it to stop being a source of stress and start being your greatest ally? 2. Rich enough to live in luxury, the seduction and dangers of material abundance. The desire for luxury is one of the most powerful motivators, and also one of the most misunderstood, in the pursuit of wealth. Unlike the simple quest for financial security, luxury isn't just about survival. It's tied to identity, sensory pleasure, and often social recognition. Yet behind the gleam of gold and the scent of new cars lie deeper questions that demand answers. What does it truly mean to live luxuriously? And how can you pursue it without letting it become a gilded cage? The psychology of luxury: status, pleasure, or emptiness. Luxury is rarely desired just for its practical qualities. A 100 watch tells time as accurately as a 100 watch tells time as accurately as a 100,001. But the latter carries symbolism that goes far beyond function. For some, luxury is a silent language that says, "I've made it." For others, it's a way to compensate for emotional voids or existential emptiness. And then there are those who simply appreciate refinement for the aesthetic or sensory joy it brings. The problem begins when luxury stops being a conscious choice and becomes a compulsion. When buying is no longer driven by desire, but by the need for external validation, luxury turns into an addiction as dangerous as any other. The path: conscious consumption and self-awareness define what luxury means to you. Define what luxury means to you. For some, luxury is a beachfront apartment. For others, it's having free time to travel. Before chasing material goods, ask yourself, will this bring me lasting happiness or just a fleeting high? Too many people realize too late that they've been chasing a standard of luxury that wasn't even theirs, but one imposed by others: media, peers, or social media. Play the status game without losing yourself in it. Play the status game without losing yourself in it. Luxury can open doors, impress clients, or cement an image of success. But when that image becomes more important than the reality behind it, you become a prisoner of your own facade. The truly wealthy often don't need to prove anything. Warren Buffett has lived in the same house for decades. Mark Zuckerberg wears plain t-shirts. For them, luxury is optional, not obligatory. Balance pleasure and responsibility. balance, pleasure, and responsibility. There's nothing wrong with spending money on what brings you joy as long as it doesn't jeopardize your financial security. A simple rule: if you need to go into debt to maintain a luxurious lifestyle, you're not rich, you're just a well-dressed slave. The hidden dangers of unchecked luxury, the illusion of eternal happiness. The illusion of eternal happiness. The thrill of a new car lasts a few weeks. The satisfaction of an expensive dinner, a few hours. Luxury delivers pleasure but not necessarily happiness. Studies show that beyond a certain level of material comfort, increased wealth doesn't proportionally increase well-being. Social isolation, excessive luxury can push people away. Status-based friendships are fragile, and family relationships grow strained when economic disparities widen. Loss of purpose. Loss of purpose. When luxury becomes the end goal, life can lose meaning. Many millionaires discover too late that accumulating things is no substitute for personal fulfillment. What if the money runs out? A luxurious life built on shaky foundations is like a sandcastle at high tide. If your wealth depends on a single business, an unstable job, or a volatile market, you're always one step away from collapse. True luxurious wealth isn't about what you have, it's about what you can have without letting it define you. Conclusion: luxury as expression, not mask living. Luxuriously isn't a sin, as long as it's a conscious choice, not a compulsion. Real luxury isn't in the objects themselves, but in the freedom to enjoy them without dependence. If you want a life of material abundance, ask yourself, is this elevating me or just distracting me? Do I control my luxury, or does it control me? At the end of my life, what do I want to have accumulated, memories or receipts? Luxury can be a pleasure, a tool, or a trap. The difference lies not in how much you have, but in why you want it. Rich enough to change the world. When wealth becomes legacy, there exists a form of wealth that transcends bank accounts and material possessions, one measured not by what you accumulate, but by what you transform. This is the level where money ceases to be an end in itself and becomes an instrument for real change. But how do you reach this level of abundance without losing your essence along the way? And what kind of wealth does it truly take to impact the world? The parable of two millionaires. Imagine two men who amassed identical fortunes. The first builds a $100 million yacht, isolating himself in a private oasis. The second uses that same $100 million to found a university for underprivileged youth. In 50 years, the yacht will be scrap metal. The university will have transformed thousands of lives. This is the difference between ephemeral wealth and eternal wealth. The three pillars of transformational wealth: vision beyond personal gain. Vision beyond personal gain. While most ask, how much can I accumulate? True changemakers ask, how much can I redistribute? Example: Andrew Carnegie, the steel magnate who donated 90% of his fortune, equivalent to $65 billion today, to libraries and educational institutions. The multiplier effect. The multiplier effect. World-changing wealth isn't given away, it's invested. Warren Buffett doesn't do charity. He makes strategic donations that generate exponential social returns. His pledge to give away 99% of his wealth isn't pure altruism. It's social mathematics, courage to challenge systems. Courage to challenge systems. Bill Gates didn't fight malaria by distributing bed nets, but by funding research that revolutionized disease eradication. Transformational wealth requires tackling root causes, not just symptoms. The paradoxes of philanthropic wealth. The power dilemma. The power dilemma. The more you have, the more power you concentrate, and absolute power corrupts, even the power to do good. Solution: Build governance systems that keep purpose above ego. The savior trap. The savior trap. Many well-intentioned wealthy people impose their visions as the solution without listening to affected communities. Classic case: international aid projects that devastate local economies by ignoring cultural contexts. The self-sufficiency illusion. The self-sufficiency illusion. No individual fortune, however large, can solve complex problems alone. The secret lies in leverage, like Chuck Feeney, the billionaire who anonymously donated $8 billion, always working in partnership with governments and NGOs. How to build this kind of wealth from micro to macro? From micro to macro, start by transforming your immediate circle before trying to change the world. Example: a bakery owner who offers vocational training to local youth is creating a replicable model. Master the economic game. Master the economic game. You can't challenge systems without deeply understanding them. Study how Elon Musk uses Tesla profits to fund SpaceX, a hybrid model of capitalism and social mission. Prepare for criticism. Prepare for criticism. Those who try to change established systems will be attacked from both sides. By the wealthy, you're betraying your class. By activists, nothing justifies your privilege, the true cost of global wealth. Changing the world demands more than money. It requires historical patience. Results may take decades. Intellectual humility, recognizing when your solutions fail. Emotional resilience, to withstand ingratitude and skepticism. Conclusion: your name or your work. At life's end, no one will remember your bank balance. They'll remember what that balance built. The choice is between being just another rich person in the graveyard or being the seed of something that keeps growing after you're gone. As John D. Rockefeller said on his deathbed, "It's not enough to do good, you must do it well." The true measure of wealth isn't in what you own, but in what the world owns because you existed. This is the only fortune that truly matters, and the one no economic crisis can take from you. Final question: what problem, bigger than yourself, is worth all your energy and resources? The answer will define not just your wealth, but your place in history. You made it this far. Now you face a tough decision. Either you hit like, because this content changed how you see wealth. Comment, "I'm changing the game." And make this commitment public. Share, because you know someone needs to hear this today. Or you admit that you're not truly committed to your growth. You prefer staying on autopilot. You think you deserve more, but aren't willing to. The choice is yours. Money can buy comfort, status, even change stories, but only if you decide what it represents. True wealth isn't about what you accumulate, but what you transform. And that starts right now with this simple act. Likes, comments, and shares aren't just interactions. They're your first act of rebellion against a mediocre life.